is Lisa Bain. Welcome to Treasure Talks. I would love for you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel and hit the doorbell so you get notifications about our new videos and content. It has been a joy to meet some incredible heroes over the years through my nonprofit work. Our community is filled with heroes who have such incredible and miraculous stories. These stories need to be heard. These heroes have found treasure in the darkest days of their lives, and they are using it to help others and bring hope to those in our community. Every month, we will spotlight a new story as you meet these community heroes and we chat one-on-one. So stay tuned and be ready to be encouraged and inspired by these community treasures. It's time for Treasure Talks. Hey everybody, welcome to Treasure Talks. I am so excited. I have been looking forward to this episode for so long because I have two dear souls to my heart. We've got Selina Meyer and Kinsey from Hydrants of Hope here with me today. And I just want to kind of do a little introduction. We have partnered, Lisa Bain Ministries has partnered with Hydrants of Hope before. It is an organization that helps children with cancer and their families. But what is really neat is your husband and your daddy, Mark Meyer, is the one that began it. Out of his cancer journey, he was diagnosed with cancer in 2012.
Correct.
And it was through his battle that he really became close to wanting to help children with cancer, or he saw it, and the families. And he fought long and hard, and he passed away in 2019. Mm-hmm. And it would have been so normal to want to just crawl in a hole with that grief and that raw place. And, you know, we talk about on Treasure Talk, serving, stepping out, seeing miracles. And these two angels are examples of serving in the most raw place and continuing his legacy after he passed away. And I was reading his favorite quote, and I instantly started crying when I read it. You know, the only thing better than beating cancer is helping somebody. There you go. Yeah. I didn't even make it through the introduction. Is helping someone else beat it. And that legacy was lived out, and you all are continuing that legacy. And I would love for you all to take us back to when Mark was diagnosed and tell us how we got to this place.
Okay.
Sorry, I cried. I didn't even make it.
And I will too. So in 2012, we were living what we thought was a normal, busy, everyday life with everyday problems. Minor things that we made into big problems sometimes, which cancer teaches you not to do. But Mark went in as he was a Tulsa firefighter. Mm-hmm. And he called me and he said, I'm going for my routine physical, and I'll call you tonight. I said, okay. Well, the evening came, and he called and he said, I'm on my way home. Why are you on your way home? He never missed a day of work. I'll talk to you when I get home. No, talk to me now. We live in Claremore, and I see a chief's car about that time pulling down our driveway. My parents followed behind, and another Tulsa fire vehicle, and that's not a good sign. So I ran outside to meet them, and I could tell immediately Mark couldn't talk. One of the chiefs said that they had sent him in for a routine physical and found cancer. Sent him for a CT scan, didn't like what they found. To make a very long story short, Mark had stage 4 sarcoma cancer. We immediately began going to MD Anderson, and the whole family went. Of course, I think I speak for Kinsey as well as myself. We weren't really thinking about anything but what was immediately in front of us. Mm-hmm. We were on a shuttle bus going into the cancer center, and I'm already emotional and crying at the time. Probably Kinsey was as well. We're scared. We don't know what the future holds. And you go from him being a 47-year-old perfectly healthy adult male fighting fires and still on the fire truck to told you have 3 months to live. Our thoughts were not on anybody else. Mark looked out the window. And he saw about a 10-year-old little boy. Mm-hmm. They had a butterfly garden there. And this little boy's pushing a chemo pole. And Mark said, see that little boy? Yeah. What about him? He said, I got to do something. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever, Mark, what are we doing for you? Right. He said, no, I'm serious. I got to do something to help these kids. I'm 47 years old. I've lived a long, healthy life. I've done what I want to do. These kids haven't had a chance. So I said, okay, pacifying my husband, not really thinking, we don't have time to worry about somebody else. We have to worry about you. But that's the kind of person that he was. It wasn't about him.
Right.
So later that evening, he said, I've got it. I said, you've got what? Hydrants of Hope. I said, what is that? He said, I'm going to create a pin. That's what I'm wearing right here. This Hydrants of Hope pin was his first idea. And I'm going to have these pins made, and I'm going to sell them. And I'm going to donate whatever money I make on these pins to help kids. So he started going through chemo. He went through 7 years. He was never, ever off of chemo in that 7 years. A lot of people looked at him and thought he was, because at times he appeared normal and healthy and other times not so much. But he was always in treatment of some sort. He started selling the pins. The Tulsa Fire Department got behind him. Family, friends, just everybody. He started driving to fire stations selling these $5 pins. It started out, he was so excited, his first check was $3,000. He was excited.
Yeah, just off of pins.
But that's so cool.
$3,000, and he went to St. Francis and donated the check to let them do what they want. Over the course of time, it has evolved into many, many other things. But up until Mark passed away, we were giving all of our money to St. Francis, which is a wonderful cause, but it wasn't giving us the personal one-on-one that we would like to have with these families. Because of the HEPA laws, we didn't get to know the children. And after Mark passed away, Kinsey and I visited and thought, we have a need to help. We need to carry on this legacy. What can we do? What does that look like going forward? And handing money over wasn't doing it for us. So our first thought was, we're going to do a camp for kids with cancer. It's going to be fully funded by Hydrants of Hope. And then COVID hit. So that's put a damper in our camp, although it is still going to happen. We are also doing events throughout the year and other things that families might need.
Amazing events.
Amazing events. You were recently a part of one.
So good.
It was so much fun. We had hoped to have 25 families, and we ended up with 50.
Oh, it was fantastic.
And it was fantastic. And, that's what it's about, to see the smiles. Oh, yes. And the families all got to come together. Everybody was so excited because they hadn't, these kids see each other and these families see each other in the hospital settings. But it's very rare that they get to do something in a setting outside the hospital that's just fun. Let's forget we have cancer. Let's forget we have chemo next week. Let's just have fun and be kids. And that was so great to see that, and we've gotten such positive feedback.
Oh,
so
wow.
Hydrants of Hope going forward, we just want to carry on Mark's legacy. As you said, his saying was, the only thing better than beating cancer is helping someone else beat it. And, I don't know that we're helping people beat it, but we certainly hope we're helping them live through it.
Oh, yeah. And what I love about that you're talking about, part of our mission is, we call it caring with connection. And it's the connection part that's so important. And what I loved about that event was all of these families were coming together, and they were just loving on each other, and the kids were grown up, and it was just this connection that's like a forever connection. And you made that possible. And it is all about connection, not just here's a check, but you get to see and have a part in that. The camp, tell us a little bit about what that camp is going to look like.
Well, as we had it planned, because we were ready to do it, we had all our volunteers in place. It's going to be a week-long camp. We will have one-on-one camper to companion. And we'll pair those people up according to their likes, what they like to do. The kids will get to do everything from archery to canoeing, a fishing derby day. We'll have all kinds of activities.
And is this for children that have battled cancer and their families?
So our camp is going to be just for the children with cancer.
Okay.
Either in remission or currently battling. And it's ages 5 to 17. Once those children age out of that, then they can become our companions. So,
I love that.
Our hope, and we've visited other camps. There's not, to my knowledge, another camp in the state that is strictly for kids with cancer. There's some camps, but they also bring in, maybe heart patients or other things. But
right.
This is only for the children, and it's their week to feel special. We, at some point, will do like a sibling retreat where we'll bring the siblings in. But we decided not to have the siblings for a couple of reasons. But one is that when you're in a family of a child with cancer, oftentimes that healthy child gets neglected, not intentionally, but because so much attention is put on the child that's going through the treatment. So we would hope that week would give the parents and any other children in the household a time to just have that one-on-one.
I love that.
And even if they don't have children, it gives the parents some peace to do what they want to do. So that was our thought with that. The child who's battling gets to be just a kid for the week without having to worry about their treatment or things like that.
But we would have nurses.
Yes.
Some of their oncology nurses on staff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we already had that set up, that some of those oncology nurses that see them on a regular basis would be at our camp.
Yeah, we had 2 St. Francis
love
oncology
that.
nurses that were going to be our nurses. So we will have nurses full time, and then a doctor. We're required to have a doctor who's willing to take calls at all times. And so one of the doctors at St. Francis had volunteered to do that.
Wow.
And of course, with all the firefighter
available,
they're all
You're covered.
EMT
You're covered.
paramedics. So we had a lot.
Right. Yeah. And
people.
I love the fact that what you mentioned about the siblings, because I know when we fill care packages for families and we say, how can we help you? They're like, help the sibling right now too. Because we're helping, we're doing this. And so we get that. So I love that. You're looking at all avenues and every member of the family. So, okay, I want to talk about when Mark passed away. I know that was a raw time. How did you guys work through the grief of that to get to the place to pull out, to continue the legacy? And the reason I ask that is because grief is raw. Grief is painful. And it was your daddy.
Yeah.
How do you work through? Because right now it's easy to look and say, wow, look at you. It was not easy, was it?
No.
How were you able to work through that to get to that serve mode?
It was hard. I mean, I was in EMT school at the time, and she had called me. I just made my first call on my first ride along. And for me, sorry, it takes me back. The first person I wanted to call after that and be like, hey, I just made my first call, was my dad. But she was calling me before I even dropped my patient off. And so it was hard for me to even want to continue EMT school or, really anything. And it's one of those, I had to really dig deep. And the thing that really kind of drove me crazy is people would say, it gets easier with time. I hated hearing that. Like, what time is it going to get easier? Is it going to be in a month, or is it going to be, I hated hearing that. And that it gets easier with time makes it sound like here in a while, you're going to forget you even, experienced that. And it's not even something, you don't forget you experienced that. You don't forget that grief. I think what people meant is that you simply learn how to cope with it the best way you know how. And
it gets different.
Yeah, your grief kind of becomes different. You can look at those pictures and smile. You can think about those memories and not feel punched in the gut. And I think both of us, as soon as that happened, we were all thinking about, what was one thing Dad was really passionate about, and it was that charity. How can we serve people? And I think that brought us both joy, was serving people, and it helped our grief.
I think I don't know. I mean, and I talk to people who've lost their spouses now. They're like, how'd you do it? I'm like, you do it. I can't give you a pat answer except to say you have to walk through it. You can't sweep away the tears. They're there. You have to, the emotions are there, and they're raw and they're real, and you have to experience it. But you're not in it alone. And when you turn that grief and that raw emotion into helping someone else who's going through that, or who's going through cancer, for me, I was angry. I was like, how can you take such a good human?
All the questions.
I don't understand. I never will. But then I turn to the charity, and I start seeing all these parents with their children who are hurting. And then I'm like, who am I to question my situation when I should be helping them get through their situation? And it makes it more understandable, I guess, or you're not alone. That there's someone else feeling the same thing you are. And if you can help them, weirdly enough, it helps you.
Boy, community is so important when you're walking through grief. And, I had someone recently, how do you even start to get out of that dark hole? And I remember being in that dark hole, and the smallest little bit of service can shed a little light into the crack. And before you know it, you're kind of peering out and not isolating, and then, boy, isn't it tempting?
Well, it is. And, I tell people a lot, I say this a lot, and people are like, well, that's easy to say. It is hard to live. But I do feel like we get up every day with a choice. God gives you a choice. Amen. Are you going to make the most of the day and be happy, or are you going to feel sorry for yourself? And, we have to choose happy. And that's one of my favorite sayings, is choose happy. If anything that this whole journey has taught me, at least, is how short life is. And again, like I said, before Mark was diagnosed with cancer, I sweated the small stuff. It's not even worth sweating. It's
not even worth sweating. Boy, doesn't it put things in perspective?
Yes, put it in perspective. And what can I do to make the life of someone else better? What can we do with our charity to make someone else? We had so much help through Mark's 7 years. I don't know what we would have done without it.
During his cancer battle?
Absolutely, yes. Fundraisers, food.
I remember those.
Tulsa fireman working his shifts. I mean, he would say, so-and-so worked my shift today. I got to call them. And he's dialing the phone. And
wow.
I mean, it was just incredible. And that was really just a very great community for us to be a part of, especially at that time, because they really rallied around us. And it didn't seem like, here's Tulsa Fire and here's us. It was like, here's Tulsa Fire. And,
that's so great.
That's
Shout out to Tulsa Fire.
I mean, that's kind of how it felt at that time.
And you're following in the footsteps of your daddy, because you are a firefighter. You're on the volunteer, but you're also, we're hoping you'll soon be on Tulsa Firefighter.
We're hoping.
Yeah, so you are carrying on that legacy. So, wow. So for someone that is walking through loss, maybe just a recent loss, or looking at just something insurmountable to them, what would be the one thing that you would share? I think you covered it too with Choose Happy. What would be the thing that you would share? Because I can tell you there is someone out there that has just walked through loss, that is feeling that elevator grief, that I can't breathe grief.
And it's there. Everyone's different. I think what really helped me is to try to find a person and look up to that person that's been there, and to see they've walked the same path I have. It might be a spouse, it might be they lost a child, it might be they lost a parent, but they're here and they're standing strong. and I can do it. So I think find that person that today's a rough day. Tomorrow will be just a tad bit less rough. And every day you go forward, you're going to get a little bit better. You'll never, ever not miss that person. But it might help you to find your joy and live your days to the best that you can, and help others. I mean,
serving,
help others in any way that you can. In any way you can, it ends up helping you.
Speaking of helping, how can we help Hydrants of Hope? What is some of the main needs that you guys need besides funding? Or we're going to list all of the links so that they can find out your website. What is the greatest need right now?
I think just the greatest need is going to be volunteers. It's going to be it's going to be just getting involved with our organization, spreading the word, helping us locate these children. They don't, and if they don't know us, then it's hard for parents to trust. When I decided to start a camp, I'm just one of those people that I was like, oh, we're going to do a camp. No big deal.
Let's go.
Yeah, a week. Send us your kids. And I don't sleep a lot of the times. My mind's wandering, and I thought,
she still checks in on me. Are you home? Well, not yet. Well, you need to be home. It's not safe out. And I'm like, I'm 30.
But I'm that parent that, didn't want to send my child to church camp, for goodness sakes, because, oh my gosh, I don't know those people. So I want these people to send me their children who are going through treatment, and they don't know us. So get to know us. Get to know our organization. Get to know the people involved. Every person in my organization that helps are wonderful people, and nobody is paid.
I love you guys.
A penny.
All of them.
No one is paid a penny. 100% of what we get goes back to helping the kids.
So awesome.
And that's because that's what we want to do. We love these kids, and we've met so many of the parents, and they're great people.
Awesome.
Oh, and it's apparent.
So
I
awesome.
cannot say enough. Get involved in this organization. It's the real deal. Authenticity, genuine to the core. Thank you for not quitting and for carrying on the legacy. And you are two of the most shining stars in our community. And it's like I was telling you before, someone was talking about you the other day, and they said, well, you're just all sparkly. And I said, because I love them so much.
And Lynn, we've told you the feeling's mutual.
You're what you do, what you stand for, and what you've been through, and how you're helping. You are the epitome of what we talk about every day. Thank you. I just love you all so much. And we're with you 110%.
Thank you. And I just want to say none of what we do would be possible without our volunteers, because we're just two people, and there are so many more than us that
they are the heart of it all, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I wish they could all be here, because without them, it doesn't happen.
Yes. And if you're interested in volunteering, we're going to send you to their website, and we couldn't do it without volunteers or their fearless leaders. So thank you for being here. And
thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. And stay tuned, and please go like our page on YouTube, and go to lisabain.com and go to the Treasure Talks tab if you want to see some more episodes. And we will see you next time on Treasure Talks. Thank you for joining us at Treasure Talks. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with the latest videos. You will not want to miss out. If you'd like more information on the growing projects of Lisa Bain Ministries and how we're helping the community, please visit us at lisabain.com.